Hello, this is Sarah Shannon, owner of Shannon Consulting Tutoring.com. This is a makeup video for a kind of like a redo of my mini video on the most effective ways to write a short narrative, 2 or 3 page paper with students that have absolutely no idea how to do that. And so I'm going to show the video again, the 7 steps, so you can see it back here, up here on this presentation that I did. And so there's 7 steps to writing a narrative text. If you wanted just a quick way for your students to be able to take a narrative text and be able to have 7 steps to help them write a 3 page text, this is how to do a narrative story. And so the first step, if you look up here, you can't hardly see it. I'm having camera problems. The first step is, and I have a copy of all of this on my website, is step number 1. There's 7 steps to do it so that I created myself, Sarah Shannon, owner of Shannon Consulting Tutoring.com. Step 1 is create a scene by opening with an interesting introduction. So after you've done the brainstorming, you talk to students the writing process, and hopefully you've done that as a preview before you introduce this lesson. You have to know the story map elements and the 5 characteristics for writing a narrative story, setting characters, problem, action, event, and resolution or plot elements. And so the first step is create a scene by opening with an interesting introduction. And all this will be on my website. You can have copies of this, and I have a written copy for the students and step-by-step examples under each of these 7 steps for them. So first step, create a scene opening with an introduction. Hey, what was that strange noise I heard down in the basement? Okay, or an onomatopoeia. Boom, the loud thunder, booms in the distance. Onomatopoeia, ask a question, open up with a statement. It's going to be an amazing day, I exclaimed as I walked down the street. Open up with some type of interesting introduction, step 1. Step 2, let the reader know who you are and where you are. After you've done step 1 by creating a scene and open up with interesting introduction, step 1. Step 2 is to let the reader know who you are and where you are. Wow, it's going to be a great day. I was walking toward my cafeteria in anticipation about the conversation my best friend and I were about to have about the summer party. Step 1, create a scene by opening with an interesting introduction. Step 2, let the reader know who you are and where you are. Step 1, boom, the loud thunder went. Step 2, let the reader know who you are and where you are. I was getting ready to relax and go to sleep and take a nap after a long day when I heard the boom of thunder shouting in the distance. Step 3, begin to elaborate on something in your problem. It can be a person, place, or thing. Step 1, create a scene by opening with an introduction. Step 2, let the reader know who you are and where you are. And then step 3, begin to elaborate on something in your story. Talk a little bit descriptive about it for just a few sentences. For example, if you're at if it's the thunder booming in the background, for example, take a few minutes and say, the thunder was so loud, it was so threatening that it almost made me shake and quiver in fear. The thunder just was so loud, it made my ears ring. Or talk about if you're walking on the beach, for example, let's say it's like shifted and just switch it for another. So let's say create a scene. Let's say, for example, it's a princess, the story that you're writing about. If you've done your brainstorming process, you thought about that prior to this rough draft. So first step, create a scene with the interesting introduction. Oh, I'm walking on the beach today because I just had to have a few minutes to myself. I sighed as I thought about the horrible day that lay before me. Step 2, let the reader know who you are and where you are. As I walked upon the beach, I started to think about all the things that I had to do to solve this problem that I was having. Step 3, begin to elaborate on something in your story. As I stood there, I looked at the beautiful beach. I was amazed at how peaceful and serene the water looked. The waves billowed against the sun shining from the sky. The sand and the sea just flowed between my toes as I wiggled them and looking down at them, and the brown sand mixed in with the color of my toes. Something simple like that. Step 1, create a scene with interest introduction. Step 2, let the reader know who you are and where you are. And then step 3, begin to elaborate on something in your story. If you're at the park, let's switch it real quick. Step 1, just to give, because I'm repeating repetition, not that much, went overboard with it. Step 1, create a scene by opening with an introduction. I'm going to walk to the park for a few minutes and take my little sister to play on the slides. Step 2, let the reader know who you are. We are going to this park and we're going to have a great picnic and have a wonderful time. Step 3, begin elaborating on something in the story. As we walked through the park, we couldn't help but laugh at all the people that were at the park, tossing balls back and forth, playing hopscotch on the sidewalk, and we heard dogs playing that were on leashes barking as their owners tossed balls to them. I mean, I'm doing it top of my head so you can see how you can walk them through the process and think through it with them, because that's an effective teaching strategy. You show them how your thought process is, so you begin to think about ideas, so you begin to write your story. Okay, so step 4, after you've done those 4 steps, you begin to get into your problem. We know that a very good story has to have a good problem. I would talk about this before. If everybody's happy in the beginning, everybody's happy in the middle, everybody's happy in the end, it's not a great story. So you have to get some type of problem. So think about your setting. You know, if it's on the beach, what kind of problem could you have on the beach? Think about your setting. If you're getting ready to take a nap and it's thunder booming in your ears in the distance, what kind of problem could you have? Could some type of strange witch show up? You know, whatever. You're gonna be creative like that, or could it be, you know, a scary sound you don't know what it means? Or think about what your problem could be, whatever that situation is. And then step 5 after that is begin to talk about your feelings. Let's say, for example, let's do this example of you're getting ready to go to sleep and you hear the thunder dooming in the background, and so you start getting your problem. If you can elaborate on the thunder and how threatened, you know, it was in your ears, or you know how you were just tired and you're exhausted from your long day and you were just getting ready to just relax, and your bed feels so comfortable. The comforting pillow was like a warm caress on your cheek after a long hard day or whatever you wanted to do. So then you get into your problems and you're saying, suddenly as I lay down and began to snooze, I heard a noise that I had never heard before in coming from the kitchen. And so, and then after that, the next step, which would be step 6, is the beginning to talk about your feelings about what's happening to you. So you would say, you know, what could that possibly be? My heart started beating in anticipation because I began to become fearful. I don't know what's going on here. No one's in the house with me right now. I began to sweat a little bit, even though I didn't feel that frightened because I knew it could be something small, but just in case it may be something big, I'm getting a little bit nervous here. I lay there and pulled the covers up over my head a little bit longer because I was scared to get out of the bed to figure out what was going on. You know, you have to talk about your feelings. If you're walking on the beach and suddenly you see a bottle laying on the beach with your sister or something like that, or you're in the park or something, you know, oh, what is this bottle here? What's going on here? This is really strange. Maybe it's you know, a note from a genie. Maybe I'm going to get 3 wishes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This might be something, my dream come true. If you're at a concert, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Talk about how you feel about this concert. Oh my gosh, I'm at my favorite star. I'm so excited. I've never had this happen to me before. This is the best day of my life. My eyes grew big in anticipation as I knew what was about to lay before me. Okay, and then lastly, this next step, step 6, I believe, is I'm trying to do this because I'm limited with my camera, so I'm kind of doing it spontaneously. Step 6 is begin to get into 1 or 2 action events to try to solve your problem. So you think about your problem, think about 1 or 2 action events to happen to try to solve your problem, just like story elements, setting, characters, problem, action events to happen to try to solve your problem, and then your problem resolution. So try to solve your problem, think of 2 steps. And then lastly, solve your problem. So whatever your problem is, have a solution to your problem. So that was just a quick way to introduce the story map elements, how to 7 steps for the narrative, and you'll see and I'll show this to you really quickly. Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm going to do this again, I think. But you'll see the 7 steps here written down, and then you'll see an example on my website of how I actually pulled it together with this really cool story. But I wrote these 7 steps down there. So part 2 of this is going to be redoing the video on Corbin Frame, which is using a lot of these ideas in that particular story. Have a great day.